Hello and welcome to Folio Weekly Magazine. I'm Rob Nicholson. Today it is my pleasure to have Tim Butler from the Psychedelic Furs. Tim, welcome.
Thank you, Rob. How are you doing?
We're doing great. We're excited about your show coming up on May the 16th, right at the historic Florida Theater. There are some tickets still available for this show, but as you know, or as our listeners and readers know, Florida Theater sells their tickets direct. They do not go through a system, so call on the Florida Theater to get your tickets direct, and that way you don't pay all those pesky fees. Tim, you and Richard and the Psychedelic Furs have been touring since the late 70s. I wonder if you could talk to me a little bit about maybe some of the differences between touring then and touring now.
I think nowadays promoters and bands and everybody's got it's more together than it was back then. I mean, during the 80s, it was like a rolling party on the road, whereas nowadays you have more, you think more about the next night's show. You don't sort of get out of it after a show and be hungover the next day and not put on a good show. It's way more professional and it's smoother. It's a smoother proposition.
Now, on this tour that you're out now, Evan Dando from the Lemonheads is a support act for your show. How is it working with him? Have you enjoyed your time with him?
We haven't actually done any shows on this tour, but we've worked with him before. We've worked with him before, and he's a really nice guy. No problems at all. No ego clashes or anything. It was just fun.
Can you tell us sort of what to expect in the show this go round?
It's hard to say. We haven't yet started rehearsals for the upcoming shows, so we don't know what's going to be in there and what's going to be left out. Of course, we do the favourites, the Love My Ways and the Pretty in Pinks. But the most fun for me at the moment is we do stuff from the new album, which is it's always good because it's a new thing you can add. We find ourselves adding little touches to it every night live. It's never so over rehearsed that it's always a thing that's a work in progress.
Now you're
which
talking
is really
about
cool. Which is really cool because we sort of push each other to do better every night. We've been playing so long, we know each other's strengths and weaknesses and how hard we can push each other. So it's fun being out there and touring, now.
Well, now, and we're talking of your latest record, Made of Rain. Love the lead song and video, Wrong Train, off the record. There's some other great stuff on there. Come All You Faithful is kind of wild. Could you tell me more about Made of Rain and how you got there?
Well, when we got back together in 2000, we were planning on doing a new record, but we were sort of a bit worried that we wouldn't come up with anything which stood alongside, our work in the 80s. So when we finally, we were passing song ideas backwards and forwards for, right up until probably 6 months before we recorded Made of Rain. And when we finally agreed on an album's worth of material, we went in there and recorded it pretty quickly for us and for, I think, any band doing an album nowadays. We took two-week sessions for recording, and then probably it took a month on and off to mix. And I think it shows that the songs are still fresh from our point of view, and I think you can hear that on the album, and the production isn't too overblown. So, and I think a lot of reviewers and people agree because we've got, in the year end of 2020 rankings for albums of the year and stuff. So I think our nerves at the thought of doing an album were dispelled.
Well, the record, I got to tell you, when I heard it, I knew it was the Psychedelic Furs I was hearing, but it was like a really fresh take on the Psychedelic Furs. Like you really were able to accomplish that leap from the '80s.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing is obviously the Psychedelic Furs. I think Richard has one of the most distinctive voices in rock and roll in the last 40 years. And musically, of course, we over all the years we've taken in how music has changed around us and used whatever parts of different sounds interest us and used it in our songwriting. So albeit from if it's rap or alternative or whatever genre, we take parts of what we like and it make it into a new Furs, a current new Furs sound.
Well, you sure did it on this record. It really is terrific. So I hope people make sure to listen to it before they get out there if they haven't already. You and your brother have worked together from the beginning. Tell me about how that relationship works. I'm very close to my brother, and that's why I'm asking. I have people tell me all the time how lucky I am to have my brother around have him in my life.
Yeah, I mean, people's interviewers have been asking that, over the past, couple of touring sessions have been asking that, and my whole thing is, you get these bands that, the brothers in these bands argue and, they don't talk anymore and stuff, but music's music. Your brother will always have your back and you will always have his. And, at the end of it all, when you're in your 80s or 70s or 80s, he's gonna be there. Music might not be, so all these petty little squabbles, just go under the bridge and, blood is thicker than rock and roll. It's more important to have your family than it is to, a fleeting thing like rock and roll.
I love that phrase, blood is thicker than rock and roll. Tim, thank you so much for taking the time with us today. We appreciate it. We can't wait to see you May 16th at the historic Florida Theater in downtown Jacksonville, Florida. Again, thank you for taking the time. And Tim, we'll see you on the 16th.
Thank you, Rob. See you there.
And for Folio Weekly Magazine, I'm Rob Nicholson.